Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. So I've decided to call my business the School of Awesome versus the Church of Awesome. Tell me which one you like. I think the School of Awesome opens up all kinds of possibilities for the entirety of my work. From love coaching, dating, relationship, communication coaching, to emotional healing, to life coaching, to everything that I do. Okay, so I'm 4 days out from my surgery. I'm still in a lot of pain, trying to clear my throat a little bit still. So this video is going to go into the spiritual side. So I was kind of doing my daily thing, routine, just, to get things going, and some thoughts just continued to come up, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna need to make a video about that. Okay, so we are in an era where things are shifting fast, and it's because we're going through a shift. Okay, so here, you know what, I'm going to have to just start somewhere and kind of fill in the blanks, because this is a kind of an amalgamation of ideas and thoughts that have been coming at me for the last 20-30 minutes. Okay, I'm going to start here. So this will help you to understand me a lot better, because obviously I can only give so much information in a 20 or 30 minute video or 15-minute video. And what happens is people will project their trauma onto what someone else is saying, and therefore that trauma acts as a filter, so you're not actually hearing what that person's saying. So a lot of people may come along and say, oh, okay, so you believe in men should dominate, or you believe in this. Like, no, not at all. Not at all. One of the things about me is I want to know the truth. I want to understand, why am I in pain? What can I do to change it? Why are you in pain? Why are we in pain? How can we make this better? How can we heal this? I have always had this belief that men and women can get along, and we can not only, okay, watch this. Not only get along, we can deeply, deeply understand each other with clarity. And now I know that. Now, because I've always had that belief, it's guided me down that path. And thus I made a series of discoveries. And it's not only a series of discoveries, but there was, okay, I'll give you one thing I learned in psychology class. It was right there. It wasn't hidden from us. It wasn't hidden from the professors. It wasn't hidden from psychologists or psychiatrists. It's right there, yet nobody saw it. The female mating system has a nerve that curves off to the right brain's communication center. The male mating system is in the same place as hers, but his mating system connects to the optic nerves, which connects to his eyes. You would think those men 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 years ago would be like, that must mean that this right brain communication must trigger her mating system. But they never did. Nobody ever figured this out. No one talks about it. Here's why though. Because we both, men and women, humans, are wired the way we're wired. So we're so wired this way, we can't even fathom the possibility that someone else could be different from us. And there's nothing further from the truth. And that's what we're just now waking up to. Now, I woke up to this when I was 28 years old back in the 90s. I remember I walked up to the professor after class and said, well, if her mating system's connected over here, that means paying for dinners and buying her gifts and flowers in and of itself is probably empty or meaningless to her. No, Michael, no. And I kind of tried to argue, but again, I was a young guy. I think I was 19 or 20 at the time. And he was this professor with all this, credentials and all this stuff with his doctorate degree. And I'm, well, who was little old me to challenge a professor? And then over the years, when I started teaching this, I had men with their doctorate degrees, one from Harvard, who was a family marriage counselor. He looked at me, he goes, wow, he goes, I never thought of that. He goes, that's true. Her mating system is connected that way. Now, that's not to say there might be 1 out of a million women that are not neurologically wired that way. I'm very open to possibilities. I actually had a neurologist as a client, and he said, if you truly believe you found a woman who's not wired normally in this way, I want to talk to her. I want to do an MRI or a brain scan. I want to find out if she's actually not wired this way neurologically, like her nerves not connected to the right side of her brain. Now, this video is not about dating relationships. It's not about men and women communication. This is something that's going to shift into something much deeper. But I'm using this metaphorically or symbolically as a symbol for a greater understanding of everything we are going through as human beings right now. Such as narcissist abuse, avoidance, all the stuff that's going on. I mean, there's so much more. It's not even limited to that either. It's a lot more than that. See, a lot of people, I like to seek the truth, because to me it helps me to find peace, to get out of my own fear and anxiety and stress, to find out what's going on? Why am I suffering so much? Or why don't I deal well in these situations? So that's where I'm coming from. I don't care what the damn truth is. One of the kind of weird, odd realizations when it came to narcissist abuse, now this was years and years afterward, was, because of that really, really super bad experience, I stood up for myself. I finally stood up for myself. And I learned a lot. Because of that, I learned so if I do this, then they back off. Wow, that's interesting. The one thing, and it reminded me, God, I've heard that since I remember in 4th and 5th grade, a teacher saying, Michael, the way you deal with bullies is you punch them in the nose. Because bullies only bully people that don't fight back. Now, I didn't really understand what he meant until one day I was getting bullied by a much, much older guy in high school when I was in 4th or 5th grade. And he pinned me down, and he's bruising my forehead, he's wrapping his knuckles on my forehead and my chest really hard. And I slipped an arm out because he had my arms pinned down with his knees, and I punched him literally right in the nose as hard as I could. And he goes, I can't believe you did that. Oh my God, that's so unfair. And I'm like, unfair? You're 40 pounds heavier than me. You're in 9th or 10th grade. I'm in 4th or 5th grade. But the thing about it was I still didn't get it. But here's the thing. That kid never bullied me again. But he did bully all the other kids. Okay, this is a good example. Okay, so here's the deal. So if you've truly dealt with narcissist abuse and the bullying and the gang stalking, when they get these people involved, it is a unbelievably terrifying, frustrating, horrible experience, and you want it to end. And that's what I'm talking about. You look for answers, how do I end this? How do I get out of this? And that's what I'm talking about. So I don't care if it comes to love, to relationships, to happiness, to making a relationship work, to getting people to get along, to whether it's at a workplace or whether it's dealing with narcissist abuse. I just want to know the truth. But a lot of people, okay, here we go. A lot of people don't necessarily take that path. They're like, I just want to shut this down. And here's what the answer is. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to do drugs, drink alcohol, or get a really bad habit or do a mental thing where I give up my power and therefore they leave me alone. So if I do this, then they don't bother me anymore. But then again, the rest of my life's going to suck because I'll never start that business I wanted. I'll never become that Olympic athlete. I'll never become a painter. I'll never become an artist. I'll never do whatever it is I want to do with my life, because that's what the narcissist's goal was to shut you down. So once you shut down, they leave you alone. So here's what's going on. We shifted from the age of Pisces. Now Pisces is the 2 fish under the water that are kind of spinning around in a circle, let's say. That's the symbol of it. And water is murky. Water is dark. Okay? And the whole thing about Pisces is they're kind of that way. They're kind of sneaky. They kind of keep things under the cover. You don't really know what's going on. And that is the age of darkness. We just see the lie, and this is part of the age of darkness. They lie to you. They lie to you about all of it. Oh, the age of darkness was back during the king and queen days, back in the 1100s, 1200s, 1300s, 1400s, etc. No. We're still coming out of it right now. We literally just started coming out of it around the year 2012. It's debatable. Some people say it's earlier, little earlier, a little bit later, 2014, whatever. It doesn't matter. What's happening is the veil or veils are being lifted and people are starting to see. It's like a light bulb has been turned on and it's getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and people are starting to see the truth. Now, there have been a lot of memes on Facebook and YouTube going around. It's like, the person who lies has a lot of friends because they all lie together. And the person who tells the truth generally is alone or has very few friends, because a lot of people don't want to hear the truth, but the truth will help you become free and feel better and enjoy life and do better and make more money and have a happy relationship and everything that you want in life. The problem is, somewhere along the line, you gave up your power. And because of that, the person that was bullying you, they backed off. And I don't necessarily think you were conscious of this. It was more of a semi-unconscious kind of thing. And whenever you start thinking about going after your dreams, like, nope, fuck that. And so now you make up a bunch of reasons why, a bunch of lies, a bunch of excuses. So now you're going down the path of lies and excuses versus like, well, this is what I want to do with my life. I've always been one of those people who was very truthful. I just wanted to know what was going on. And they used to say, Michael, my mom would say, Michael, don't ask people those questions. I'm like, why? Because they don't like it. And I used to hear this from parents when I got older and this and that. And even a girlfriend, Michael, don't ask them that. Don't say things like, I'm like, why? What's wrong with that? I'm just telling the truth. Now, I don't mean I say, oh, you're fat, you need to lose weight. I don't mean something like that, but just something I was genuinely curious about and I wanted to understand. What happened to a lot of people is they got off on the wrong path, and I don't necessarily think it was a bad thing in the sense of, oh, they're weak, or oh, they chose the lies. No, it's more like they were suffering, somebody was bullying them, they didn't know how to get out of it, and they closed up one day, and the bully left them alone. They're like, oh, okay, so if I do this, I don't get that. Okay, got it. And it's a semi-conscious thing, and you started going down this path. Next thing you know, you've made up reasons and excuses on why you're not going after dreams or why you can't or what the problem is. And next thing you know, now you're applying that to other areas of your life, from your health, your weight, your finances, your dreams, your goals, your partner, being happy in a relationship. So all of a sudden, your whole world becomes this series of lies and excuses. And you begin to hate yourself. You begin to hate your life. You begin to hate life, period. Now, a lot of people helped you along the way, such as your buddies and people who are lying to themselves. And the reason why you guys are friends together, because you lie to each other, about yourselves in front of each other. Therefore, we all lie about ourselves and each other. And therefore, we're all happy in this little helpless victimhood state. And here comes along someone like me who says, oh no, the reason why you're doing that is because you're telling yourself a lie and you're holding yourself back. And they're like, what? What did he say? And you get all pissed off. So you basically humiliate, shame, guilt trip, and even intimidate or threaten these people until they leave. You basically push them out. The very person who was sent to actually help you to get out of your own cage. So here's what's happening in the world right now. The light is shining. The people that are seeking the truth are beginning to find the truth more and more and more. It's becoming really obvious. But there's an opposite effect. There are people that are it's not only are they fighting it, they're putting 100 times more energy and effort into holding on to their lie and trying to convince you of their lie. But it's not working anymore because the light's shining and we actually see the truth. The writing's on the wall. So let's go back to my dating relationship thing as an example. So my whole thing is, I just want to see people get along. It's not just, well, let's live in a boring relationship and have zero emotions and we're just getting along and we have a roof over our head. No, I mean emotions, passion, deep love, pleasurable sex, a relationship where you're building a life together, where you're building the beautiful home of your dreams. You might be starting a business or supporting each other in being Olympic athletes or artists or starting a business and creating stuff. A life that is worthwhile, that's worth living, that is literally full of life. A meaningful life where you can't wait to wake up the next morning to go back to work. That's what I'm about. And I don't care what's right or wrong. I don't give a shit about, political correct. I don't care. I just want to see you happy. I want to be happy. I just want to live the most awesome life possible. I want to get the most out of life while I'm here. That's why I'm here. So one thing about dating, relationships, and sex, it's a very emotionally driven part of life. And a lot of people have a lot of trauma around it and negative beliefs. And that's what I was going to say about 5 minutes ago about your friends will help you in this negativity, meaning they'll give you a lot of supportive negative beliefs. Like, here's a negative belief that I hold on to. And it sounds really real and logical, but it's not supporting you. It's keeping you from everything you've ever dreamed of. I'm going to smash those limiting beliefs. So back to my dating relationship coaching. So here's the deal. Not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, because I think on this channel there's a lot more higher level people. More aware, better educated, whatever the word is. So there are still some people like, oh, so you think that men should be this and women should be that? No, not at all. Not at all. I am completely open to all options and possibilities. Well, what do you mean, Mike? Well, I don't believe that everyone should be in first grade math. I just don't believe that. And I also don't believe every single person should be in 10th grade algebra class either. So essentially, people who are holding on to the limitations of life, or the rules and the beliefs, and this is the way I am, the trauma, they're stuck in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, or 2nd grade, or 11th grade, or 9th grade. They're stuck somewhere. And, oh, so you don't believe, and they'll look at me, so you believe all people should. No, I don't. I believe you're at where you are at. That's what I believe. For example, some people will look at me, listen to me talk about left brain, right brain, the male left brain, the right female brain, and every now and then I'll get one, well, not all women are that way. When have I ever said 100% all women on the planet, each and every one specifically, are this way exactly the same? I've never once said that. Now listen to what I'm about to say. Men and women are both left and right brain. On different levels of the spectrum. Some people are very left brain and also crossing the midline all the way over to the right side. Some people are very left brain and have a very narrow left, not even over to the right side. They're far, it's like they have, what's the word I'm looking for? Different levels of expansion. So in other words, they may have a expansion from left to right, but they're actually all the way to the left. They're not even near the middle. They're nowhere near that. They're so far left, they're stuck. And they can only do a little bit of logical, like they're over here in this one little part of the language and thinking. Whereas some people are that far over, but they come over to the right, maybe not to the middle, but at least to the middle of the left brain. And then there's some people that are in the middle of the left, and their expansion goes across the right, the middle line, just a little bit over to the right brain, but then some people are farther in the right brain. So there's a whole, and then, okay, there are some people that are very, very right brain, they're stuck over there. They have no left brain access or very, very little. We are all at different levels of whatever it is you're doing, whether it's math, business, science, whether it's left brain, right brain, conscious, unconscious. It's some, here's the deal. Some people are like, oh, those right brain women, they're not very smart. Well, they may not be mathematically smart. And that could be a male that's stuck in his right brain in the far, far right brain. But they're really good at vague and abstract stuff. Though that's the thing. When I started learning how to speak in the vague and abstract right brain language, all of a sudden, these women opened up to me and they had vast amounts of information and knowledge on this level. So the word I was looking for is range. Some people have a wider range from left to right. Some people have a narrow range. They might be cross over to the right brain a little bit and then cross over to the left brain a little bit. Or they might be all the way to the left and have like a 1-inch range Or they might be all the way to the left and have like a 4-inch range that actually comes towards the middle, but not quite the right brain. And then there's people that may not be all the way to the left, but they're kind of center left, and then they have a little bit that crosses over to the right, or a lot that, so they might have a much wider bandwidth or band range. If there's one thing that I've really seen that this whole left and right brain has opened up, a lot of people use a lot of language and they're like, okay, yeah, and no one really knows what they're talking about. Like women use the word about maturity and balance. Well, what the hell does that mean? I mean, here the funny thing was, is I'd been teaching left and right brain communication and expansion development for decades, and I still didn't know what that meant. I was like, oh, they're talking about balance. Here's okay. There's a lot of people that are running around saying, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a woman. No, you're not. You're a little boy, you're a little girl. Men that are stuck in the left brain and can't cross over to the right brain, that's a little boy. That's not a man. A man is someone who is balanced out and developed the ability to cross over to the other side. If you can't comfortably, and guess what, men, this is what I teach you how to do in Cracked Female Code. And let me tell you something. When a woman sees a mature man, you mean an old man with gray hair, Mike? No, there's a lot of little boys with gray hair running around. I mean a man who has developed the ability to open up to his right brain, to become logical and 5 senses combined. It's left and right. When you have this balance to flow between logic, creativity, math, business, and science, romance, sensual communication, to be left and right, and to have a greater awareness, that's what a woman's looking for. She's not looking for someone who only pays the bills. She's looking for a mature man who's down to earth, which is a right brain person. See, when you're logical and you're also in your right brain, that's what we mean by saying emotionally grounded. Now, on the other hand, you might have women that are overly intellectual or overly right brain. They're so far to the right, they have very narrow range. They don't even reach over to the left, or vice versa. I'm not saying all men are left and all women are right all the time. No, we're both left and right. Women do, this is a scientific fact, they have more nerves in the corpus callosum, which connect the left side to the right side, though, so they can be logical, then creative, then logical, then artistic, and they go left, right, whereas men, you have to learn because you don't have as many neurological connections and you haven't been developing that connection since you were a little kid. Now let's talk about Marilyn Monroe. If you don't know who she is, she played, keyword played, the ditzy role of a ditzy blonde. Very, very right brain, ping ponging all over the place. Oh, hi, how are you? And the thing about it is in real life, that woman was actually a lot smarter. She was an empath. And a lot of empaths, they play dumb because the people around them don't feel good, because empaths have this beautiful light. Whether you're physically beautiful or not, it doesn't matter. It glows through your body language, through your eyes, through your smile. And that's really what makes you beautiful. It's also what makes you very intelligent. So we are coming out of a time where empaths are saying, no, I'm not going to play dumb anymore. I don't need to. I'm not going to. And I'm sick and tired of it. And if you are intimidated by it, or if it makes you feel bad about yourself, seek therapy. We just don't give a shit. Well, my point about Marilyn Monroe, it's really not about her, but let's take the ditzy blonde person who might actually be very right brain and not very connected to their left brain. Well, someone like that suddenly might all of a sudden join a martial arts class, then join the wrestling team in high school, and then they might suddenly start smoking or doing very masculine things. It's because they're developing that side of their brain. They're developing that side of their persona, which is what I teach. I teach people how to develop the left side and or the right side. The real goal is to be left and right brain and to be grounded, because that's what a mature man is. That's what a woman is. If you use the word woman or the word man, that's what a man or a woman is. If you're left and or right only, you don't have a balance between left and right, you're just a little boy or little girl prancing around, acting and action like you're in Hollywood playing a role. So a lot of men come to me like, well, what do you mean you're going to open me up to my right brain, Mike? Because males, the male gender, tend to hide from their emotions and feelings. They never learn how to deal with their emotions and feelings. Why? Because When they hit puberty, boom, testosterone kicks in and like, oh, cool. I get to hide behind my logic now. Anytime someone says something mean, offensive, or I get hurt emotionally, zoom, I go into my logical left brain, I close the door, and I don't have to feel those feelings. Men hide from their emotions. They never develop this. Whereas women, you start working at a very young age. Even, I mean, my friend's 2 daughters, I remember I was walking through the TV room and the one daughter, True, was like, Sarah, when girls are mean to me at school, what I do is when I come home, I take a warm salt bath and I put, bubbles in there or certain scent or whatever, and I light a candle and relax, and then I go take a nap, and then I put on a good movie. So she was teaching her strategies on how to deal with being hurt emotionally. Boys don't do this. Teenage boys don't do this. Men don't do this. So in the modern era, we're living with a group of men that are just unbalanced. Whereas if you go back more than 100 years where men had to deal with the right brain issues, they developed the right brain. You had to tune into your farm animals. You had to tune into the weather. You had to tune in when you went hunting for animals. And that's all right brain stuff. So men, when women say tune in, they're talking about your peripheral vision, your auditory peripheral, and your kinesthetic peripheral, which, by the way, I teach in my course, Cracked Female Code for Men, the internal awareness techniques. They're teaching you to open up to the 5 senses, see, hear, feel, smell, and taste, so you can sense your environment. It's also really good to fight wars. If you're not tuned into your right brain, you're like, wait, wars? Right brain? What, Mike? But I thought that was this. No. When you're in your far left brain, you're extremely sensitive. If you want to be grounded, open up to your right brain, and that grounds your energy. Now you can deal with other things. Let's say you've got a woman and a man. He tends to be playing the more, I don't like to use this word because I don't mean he's being Mr. Feminine. He might be a very strong football player, kick-ass kickboxer, but he is going through a nurturing phase in his life where now she doesn't need to be nurtured and she's developing her masculine side. So she might actually be the one who takes care of the bank and the taxes and organizing things, which is all left brain, whereas he actually takes care of the children's emotional needs. Now, this may just be where they're at in the moment. They both might be developing these sides of their system. So what I'm saying is, regardless of whether you're a man or woman, you have to develop the other side to become a man or a woman. The one thing about me, because at the very, very young age I started martial arts, young age, 4 years old, and then I became a state champion in boxing by the time I was 11 years old. So being a tough guy wasn't a thing for me. I never had to prove myself. I knew I was tough, and so did everyone else. Here's the deal. I benched a lot more than people that were far bigger than me. I was benching 365 pounds. In high school, I benched 315 pounds. And people are like, how are you doing that? You're only 150 pounds. In sports, I was explosive. I got an award, which I didn't even know existed in the San Joaquin section. It was the hardest hitter in the section. Because I would just literally blow into guys, just destroy these guys. And people are like, how is this little guy doing this? He has so much power. It's because I was open to my emotions. That's what makes you powerful. See, a lot of men hold back because the left brain is the limited brain. See, when you're in your logical brain, you are closed off. And now you have limited power. You have limited intelligence. You have limited ability. And you feel very frustrated because that's what it's like being stuck in the left brain. But Mike, I'm a man. But Mike, now listen to my voice. But Mike. No, you're not. You're a little boy. You're not a man. Dealing with emotions, dealing with real life issues on a real life level, being in the present moment, that's being a man. Being able to open up your heart to your daughter when she gets physically hurt, or maybe someone was mean to her. But if you're closed off in your logic, you're not helping her to heal. Being a man will help her to heal. Now, after my best friend died when I was 19 years old, I basically took on a belief like, man, I've got to be nice to everyone. Man, people can die. And I had 18 friends die between 9th grade and 12th grade. 18 classmates, some of them, most of them, more than half, were actually very, very close friends of mine. And to be honest with you, it traumatized the hell out of me. And when my best friend died, something just, I don't know if I should use the word snap, but it was like, I realized like, life is precious. You've got to love everyone while you can. You've got to be nice to everyone. You've got to be to the extent where I never stood up for myself, which is a left brain male masculine thing. You got to stand up for yourself. You got to fight back. Got to push back. Push is male. Receive is female. So having this out of balance allowed people to push me around. Suddenly I wasn't succeeding in life. Suddenly I was letting people win when I could have easily beat them. Suddenly, like life just turned upside down and I couldn't figure out why. I found a really good therapist years later, probably when I think it was about 28 to 31. I went through a lot of them. And she's like, you need to develop your male side. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, to look at all the championships, boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, football. She goes, yeah, but socially, you're not a very masculine guy. She goes, you need to say no to girls. You need to say no to women. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to start pushing back. She just flat out said, she goes, Michael, you're really good at opening and expanding and receiving and all the things that most men can't do. You've developed, because during those years when I was going to NLP trainings, we were learning internal awareness techniques and hypnosis and energy healing and all the stuff that I was doing. She's like, Michael, you've never developed your masculine side socially. She goes, you're not willing to argue and fight. You're not willing to yell at someone who's been disrespecting you. You're not willing. She goes, from now on, you need to fight back. You need to push back. You got to stop being such a pushover. So no, I don't believe all women should be right brain and all men should be left brain. I believe we're all at different levels and we're all at different places. Some people are really good at geometry and algebra 2, but they weren't very good at division in 3rd grade, so they have to go back down and develop that. Maybe you're really good at division, but you're not very good at algebra 2, so maybe you need to develop that. The goal is to become left and right brain and to expand your range, not to have a little narrow range all the way over to the left or all the way over to the right, but to expand over the midline into the left and into the right brain, to become emotionally grounded. So the goal is to become whole and complete, to expand yourself in who you truly are, to develop your power. What do you mean power? You mean masculine, left brain, dominate people power? No, to have internal power, to expand that power around you. Not control over people or power over people, but power within yourself. There's a difference. So if there's one word, one phrase, what do? I teach people how to be powerful. If you are not connected to your power within, you don't have power without. In other words, if you're trying to be powerful outside of your body, you don't have power. You don't need to push people around once you have and are connected to your own power. See, the people that are powerless inside, they're always looking for ways to manipulate people, to control people, to hurt people, to dominate people. It's because they don't feel powerful because they're not. Because people don't respect them. People don't listen to them. So they're like, I'm going to have to figure out a way to do this. Whereas when you are powerful within and you're connected to your own power and you're creating your own life, people listen to you. People want to listen to you. You don't have to make them. Power is not physical. Power comes from your emotions. So opening up to your emotions is opening up to your power. It's the same thing. You can have a powerful engine in a car, powerful Ferrari or Mustang or whatever you have. If you don't have any fuel, you have no power. It doesn't matter the cubic size of your engine or the horsepower of the engine. With no emotional fuel, you have no power. This is what I teach people how to do, to reconnect and tap into their emotional power. That's what life's all about. Get a hold of me, go to mike@mikekollin.com or call me at 415-235-2512. You can also buy one of my dating relationship coaching books. Go to mikekollin.com or crackedfemalecode.com. It's the same website. And remember, you can always leave a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. God bless you guys. I hope this video helped you to better understand me, better understand life, and better understand where we're going in the universe. See ya.